Hey, it's Adele from Let's Get Inkie, and today I'm working in what is a journal that I have a love-hate relationship with. I love the thickness of it. It's the Dina Wakley Media Journal. I love the size of it. It's a brilliant size. It's not quite A4, but it's not A5. It's in between, and I love it, but my golly gosh, I hate the paper in this thing. I just can't make it work. Especially the hessian or the burlap pages and the canvas I really struggled with, and these white pages are so very bumpy that I do struggle a lot. So I'm going full collage on this one. I'm getting very stick and plonky. If you watch my main channel Inkie Quill, you'll know that I love to stick and plonk bits of paper and stickers and embellishments, and I fully embrace that with this spread. So the first thing that I did was I put a little bit of washi tape over the center of these two pages, and the reason why I did that is because there was quite a sizable gap. I think I had cut out maybe one of the burlap pages in between, and it was quite sizable, so I popped that down just to prevent any paint soaking through. And now I'm using an image from the Jane Davenport paper pad that she has, and I've just ripped that out and I've stuck it down using some matte gel medium, which is my favorite thing to glue everything in my art journaling. I'm going through off the side here, you can't quite see it, but I have these little sets of drawers which you will have seen if you've watched my room tours, my craft room tours, which are on my main channel Inkie Quill. And I have these little drawers where I keep different sized collage scraps, and they're great for when I'm having one of these days where here I had no plan as to where this page was going, but I just knew that I wanted to stick some stuff down, and I didn't want to try and draw anything per se. I just wanted to collage and then add some painted elements to it. So as you can see, I'm just using some matte gel medium and I'm just sticking a whole heap of stuff down. There's a book page, that's some printed tissue paper. It's not Tim Holtz. I don't know what brand it is because I did get it ages ago. I've got some painted papers. I made those papers actually in a jelly plate class, which I have filmed, and I am in the process of editing. It's a class that I actually filmed while I was pregnant and never got around to actually editing it. So stay tuned for that one. That one should be out in the next few months. I'm also adding a few bits of tissue paper. A subscriber sent me this tissue paper to my PO box, which was really sweet of them. And I love it because it's kind of whimsical and it looks hand drawn, but I know that it's not hand drawn, if that makes sense. It makes it, keep your eye out if you're looking for art journaling supplies and you're maybe starting art journaling. Have a look for tissue paper or napkins, serviettes, whatever you may call them, and have a look for designs that kind of look hand drawn, because if you're not confident in mixed media, they can be really helpful in adding a touch of handmadeness without actually going to much effort. So there's a top tip from a lazy art journaler because I am very lazy with art journaling. Here I'm sticking down, I had in my collage box this little typewritten phrase that was actually a typo from my online scrapbooking class, which is called Get Kitted, which is available on my Inkie Quill website. And it was actually a misprint that I had done. I think I did a typo in the next line. It was lyrics to a song. And so instead of scrapping the whole piece of paper, I cut off the typo and put this first little three or four sentences, three or four lines of the song lyrics in my collage box because I knew I'd be able to use it one day. I also love using these dots. They're from just the cheap stationery section in my local $2 shop. They're always fun. And then I have in my collage drawers, I often like to keep stickers that I struggle with using in normal scrapbook pages, like these giant clouds. I have trouble with clouds. I don't know why. I feel like unless it's a rainy day picture, I struggle to use them. Other people use them beautifully. I know that there's quite a lot of clouds out and about at the moment, but these ones have been in my stash for a little bit. So I'm adding those little hearts are from that jelly print paper that I made, and now I decided it was too colourful and I needed to tone it down just a little bit. So don't panic, it's okay. Adding a little bit of white gesso to my page, and it just kind of dulls down the tones of the background just a little bit because it was looking quite bright and I just needed to calm it down just a smidge. So now I know I wanted to add some paint, and I'm using my dilutions paints, which I love. They're great for beginners, they're great for advancers. What's the opposite of beginners? What is it? Advancers? There should be a noun for that. Let me know in the comments below, what is the opposite of beginners? I'm having a mental blank. I'm adding some paint because I love this paint because it's thin, but it's pretty opaque and it dries quickly, which is helpful if you're impatient like I am. Now I know I have just contradicted myself by saying that the background was too bright, but I wanted to add some little painted details. So I'm pretty sure this is cherry pie in the dilutions paints, and I'm using a silicone brush and just doing a little bit of mark making here and there everywhere just to add some more layers. I love adding layers to my art journaling pages. If you're a Let's Get Inkie subscriber, you'll know that. And here's just another layer. I'm using a Tim Holtz numbers stencil and using some white paint on my blending tool and smushing that around. And the numbers have no real significance. I like numbers, and I decided to put them on there. And I thought that often when I have a busy background like this that has lots of different shapes, you've got the hearts, you've got the little splodges of the paint, you've got the circles of those stickers, there's some chevron in some of the papers I've stuck down, there's the gears in that jelly plate paper. There's a lot of shapes going on, and so it's sometimes nice to contrast that with just text or numbers, because your eye doesn't see text and numbers as a shape per se. It sees it as text, so it doesn't get confused with the rest of the background. I've had this new stencil in my stash for a bit and I haven't used it yet, and I've been wanting to use it for quite a while. I believe they're from Darkroom Door, I think, and they're just really pretty floral silhouettes, and I knew that as soon as I bought them that I wanted to do something with them in black, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity to have this lady's head just poking out between the flowers. I know that it's a bit of an odd one because her head is slightly floating there, which I haven't really noticed until now, but I like the end result, and it's another page done in my journal, so I'm happy with that. So I'm using the Tim Holtz, or is it Ranger? I don't know if it's Tim Holtz or just Ranger brand blending tool. And the trick is, because I get asked this a lot, how to stencil nicely through stencils and not have paint spilling out everywhere. The trick is to have barely any paint on there. So barely any paint. Like, you would be surprised that it actually works amount of paint. I'm putting, because I've got the stencil already dirty, I have this used up journal. If you're a new subscriber, it's just an extra art journal that I just slap extra paint into, and I did it upside down. Bow, bow. It's a little bit of a fail, but I'll make it work somehow, someday. I love my use it up journal because it gives me backgrounds for when I feel like doing just a quick page, or when Archie's sleeping and I've only got a quick 20 minutes to do something. Half the work's already done for me, but I can still feel like I'm achieving something, which is really nice. So now back to the original page, and I'm grabbing my Signo Broad, Uniball Signo Broad white gel pen. That's a mouthful to say. And I'm just really roughly doodling around the edges of these flowers, and you'll see when this finishes that it really makes them pop. I absolutely love this pen. I haven't really had many problems with it. Don't use it straight into wet paint, which I sometimes do, and it's never going to work with any pen that you use into wet paint. be patient and let it dry. Don't do what I do and try and use it before it's ready. But you can see just by adding that white, it really makes it pop, and it just makes it look, I don't know, it connects it to the background, I guess, because there's the white of the stenciled numbers as well. It was a bit tricky to trace around these very, very detailed, they look like those dandelions that you blow on and they go psh into the air. You know the ones I mean? I'm sure they've got a name. It looks kind of like that, but they were a little bit tricky to go around, but I made it work. And then I thought my girl looked a bit too stuck on there, so I decided to go around her black outlines with my black pen. And then when I was going around the flowers, I decided, why not add some more paint to her? So I grabbed my Dina Wakley paints, which are quite different to the Dylusions. So the Dylusions paints are very thin, they're very liquidy, and they move really freely. The Dina Wakley paints are heavy body, so they're thicker, they're heavier, they're denser, they're definitely more opaque, and they're probably, I would not choose to do stenciling straight away with these paints. I would prefer to use the Dylusions paints. Not saying that you can't do stenciling with these, but because the paint is thicker, it's different. It will give you a different kind of look. So I decided to go over and kind of repaint these flowers on her head, and I add a few extra ones in, and I'm using my Use It Up journal as a palette because you'll see what I do with it in a minute. Instead of just using like a normal plastic palette or a spare piece of paper or putting it down on my craft mat, I'm actually going to use it as an art journal background. So I'm adding a few more flowers and trying to variegate the colours so that there's not two of the same colour next to each other. And then for some reason I decided to go around the outside of my page with pink as well. Why? Who knows? But I like it in the end. It's just not something that I usually do. I think I may have wanted to make the page seem like it belonged a bit more. It's kind of does the same thing as my doodly borders. It just makes the page look a bit more put together and like things aren't going to fall off the side of the page. So here you can see I've still got extra paint on my palette in quotation marks, and so I'm just grabbing a thick paintbrush and smooshing it on this page, and bam, art journal background done for next time. So I can't recommend getting an extra journal, a small sized one. This is probably an A5 size. It's so handy for kind of getting an art journal finished quicker than you normally would if it was just a blank journal that you're working in. So I've dried that off camera, and now I'm coming in with my Food Ball 1.5 pen, and I doodled around those flowers, I doodled around the song lyrics, and now I'm doodling around the numbers because, hey, I just can't get enough of outlining things with my thick black pens. So this page is almost all done. I really love how it came out. It's very bright. I think I do I add a quote to something? Oh no, splatters. Time for splatters everywhere. I'm using a white chalk pen that I originally used to do some custom blackboards for our old wedding hire business that we had. And now the chalk texture is pretty much dead, but it's still got white ink in it, so I use it for my splatters. I don't recommend it if you don't like being messy because it gets white splatters everywhere. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I post a video every Friday Aussie time over here on this channel, and a video every Saturday on my other channel, Inkie Quill. I've got lots of things planned for this channel, so stay tuned, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Turn on the bell notification so you know when I post, and I'll see you next time. Bye!